Guys, welcome back to LuxeScale. So this is the introduction for Before the Door, our third pillar within the system. So by now you've completed scripted seduction, or at least you started in most of that series, and you've basically taken your luxury avatars or your current business avatars. You've audited your brand and realigned everything, so your messaging is all lined up and actually addresses the needs, the emotional drivers of your intended client. And then you've gone out and you've started getting that new message in front of prospects, right? And you've done a lot of lead generation activities in that last series, scripted seduction, that are hopefully both increasing your current business with your current business model and your current avatars, but also dabbling into luxury, right? That's the whole intent here. So hopefully you've taken some of those activities and modified your messaging based on your power positioning, right? Your brand audit and all your realignment, and starting putting that message in front of luxury clients. So by the time you get to me in this series, hopefully your calendar will have been booked with additional prospects and new luxury clients, and you're worried about how you're going to convert that business. So that's where Before the Door comes into play. So basically the intent here on the listing side is to win the listing before you ever walk in. And then for buyer consultations, obviously you want to win the representation before you actually meet with them in person or in Zoom. Usually that thing happens in your office or a coffee shop, something like that. So that's the intent. And we're going to walk you through some tried and true techniques that are very high touch. And I guarantee you, there's not going to be a single agent in your market that are doing all of these. Now, they may be doing some, but I would say not to the extent and certainly not to the level in which we're going to equip you. So let's go through and introduce kind of the subject here in this video. So basically, the purpose of this, again, it's all about pre-framing, right? If you're here, you don't necessarily have the advantage of being able to lean on a brand that is 30, 40 years old, that is just a machine and runs itself, right? Or maybe there's a mega team that's just a mega machine and runs itself. Now, if you are, that's awesome too, because we're going to help you double down and leverage that past performance and just skyrocket you even further. But for most of us, we don't have that, right? So we've got to pre-frame everything. We've got to take advantage of all the prospecting that we have and all the meetings that we have and win those before we show up, right? That's the whole intent. So it's pre-framing those meetings. And you're basically going to start and control that whole client experience before it begins, right? So you're not going to have to pitch. That's the whole point of this, is we want to stop sounding like salespeople. We want to sound like problem solvers and concierge level agents. And then you're going to reduce resistance, right? So if you go into, like most agents, you've scheduled a listing appointment and you go in and that's when you're doing your presentation and maybe you have a CMA, and you kind of all sit around that kitchen table and have a discussion. You're pitching, right? And usually you're pitching with competition because they're going to interview, 2, 3, 4, sometimes a bunch of agents, and you're competing, right? So we want to back that out of the equation, right? Any resistance that you would typically encounter, we're not going to teach you a little bit. We're going to talk about how to counter that resistance. That's not the point. We want to put you in a position to win it before that resistance even comes up, right? So that's what we're going to do here. So as you learn through this series, really, I want you to focus on the psychology of pre-framing. Again, it's all about the psychological needs, the emotional drivers, right? So that shows up here as well, right? Because this is messaging at the end of the day. So we'll walk you through that. We're going to show you exactly how to handle that pre-appointment strategy. Right? Again, this is high touch. It's sending your pre-listing packages, what that consists of, when you send it, what it should include, We'll even source some of that if you need help with that. And the messaging all along the way, and then follow up, right? And then on the buyer side, the buyer consultation, same thing. We'll show you exactly what that needs to look like, what you should include. You're going to lean on some of the tools you did in scripted seduction, such as your content portal. And we're really going to focus on that pre-listing, that pre-buyer consultation concept. Okay, again, perception is the product, right? You're not marketing homes, you're marketing yourself, right? So you need to remember that and show up properly before the appointment. So as you begin this, I want you to really lean into the peer discussion, right? So again, whether it's a mastermind where we're all sharing ideas at a high level, or it's a group coaching call or a one-on-one coaching call, I want you to share stuff, right? Specifically school. Again, I'm a broken record here, but get on the school community. Talk about what's working for you, what isn't working, right? We recommend literally. There's a module in here that discusses bringing coffee to the listing appointment, right? And how that breaks the ice and creates an awkward situation of when you initially meet someone and shake hands and open the door into you're presenting something, right? So the discussion is now on that and how nice that is, and all about that, right? It's not about the coffee, right? It's about the concept of having something to get you from A to B through that most awkward point of the discussion, right? Maybe that's not for you. Maybe one of your peers has come up with a different way of handling that awkwardness in the beginning, right? So when you get on school, that's the kind of stuff that you're going to be sharing, right? You're going to share what you do, what worked, or maybe you did this and it turns out, I don't know, they're allergic to coffee or something bizarre. So get on school and share your experiences, right? So I want you to, there's some assignments here as you go through this coursework. But up front, we don't have necessarily something for this built out, but I want you to audit what you do currently. Do you do anything? Or do you get an appointment, talk to the person on the phone, or maybe it's an email, and then you just set up an appointment, and then everything is handled in that appointment, right? That's what most people do. So again, no judgment here, and don't be afraid. But we're going to teach you how to do stuff ahead of that to basically pre-sell you so that when it comes time to get into that appointment, you're already their agent. So audit what you do. And again, share that, right? I want you to figure out some objections that you face. And this might be you specific, it might be market specific, but what are they, right? What are the obstacles that you face typically when there's a listing appointment or when there's a buyer consultation that may cause them to choose someone else? What are there some common things that you've come across? Again, this is soul searching here, right? So really take a harsh look at yourself and what you do. And if you're willing to share those, awesome. We can all learn from that, right? Again, we're not competing with each other. This is a community where we share ideas and concepts and push each other ahead. Okay, so that's it. I'm not going to cover any more of the assignments there. That's a nice little introduction for this series coming up. And I look forward to getting in front of you all in the next few modules of Before the Door. Welcome to LuxeScale.